Mushroom.
Good evening, everyone. The Town Council regular meeting, Wednesday, October 19, 2022 at 7 p.m. Town Hall Green Room. Can we all stand for the pledge?
Simple life.
I wish I did.
For allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2, visitors. Are there any visitors that would like to be recognized at this time? Sure. Only people. Item number 3, approval of the minutes for the October 5th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Item number 4, appointments and reappointments. So we have 2 appointments this evening, both for inland wetlands. The first is Ryan Tardisell, unaffiliated for Inland and Wetlands Commission for a full seat until 6/30/2023. He currently is the alternate seat. He's being moved to a seat that was vacated recently.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Carries, thank you. And next up, we have Kimberly Lombard, Inland Wetlands Commission, alternate seat until 6/30/2023. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. Something came up at a meeting the other night. It used to be that the RTC and the DTC would put names forward for these boards and commissions. And I understand that that's not done anymore. Is that?
So what happened was the council, when they first got seated, we set a policy where if an appointed seat was vacated, we'd wait, I think, 30 days waiting period, and that anybody can complete an application that's online now from any political party, any affiliation, anybody who would like to be seated on those boards and commissions, that they can submit their application. So they don't just exclusively need to be vetted by the DTC or the RTC in town. So that's why anybody's eligible to do it now. That's only for appointed. Okay.
And when it says like you, is that like their official status with the town? With the registration?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Thank you. Item number 5 is authorizing a resolution for improvements to the Clinton Town Beach with funding through the American Recovery Plan Act.
So the town received a grant from the state, $55,000 through DEEP. Bo is putting together some of the paperwork on that. Part of the process of what has to be submitted is an authorizing resolution. This is similar to other authorizing resolutions where we're acknowledging the funds, and then there is authorization given to execute the documents as appropriate. So it's part of the paperwork that we have to follow.
So we look for a motion authorizing resolution as submitted. Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Item number 6, refund of donations. This is an interesting one. Go ahead.
Yeah, so apparently this is something that's been sought for a while. Arthur Isaacson has been the lead on it, where he brought it previously seeking some sort of consideration to turn back money since the project seemed to have fallen flat. He was one of the lead fundraisers of it, and because the project didn't go anywhere, obviously has more of a vested interest in this than others. So a fundraising effort was put forward in order to try and raise money to build a shellfish barn down at the beach, which was going to be an educational forum as well as storage for shellfish. There's a lot of twists and turns to the story, but long story short, the project really didn't move forward. These funds have basically been sitting there idle since 2014. From Park and Rec's perspective, the project is no longer active, and they don't view it as something that has permission to go forward from them. Whatever land use approvals that were secured in the early 2010s have all expired, and their shelf life is now gone. So the project really doesn't have any legs, and from Arthur's perspective, the funds should really go back to the people that provided it. So based on the refunds that were given and vetting this through finance, it's $1,000 back to Acorn Electric, $1,000 back to Rocky Ross at Aqua, and $250 back to Grand Pizza.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Just, where have these funds been held, and what kind of a?
We've been holding it in as a separate pot of money, so
Oh, okay.
it's not, it was never in the budget. It always exists as its own separate
No
entity.
problem.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Item number 7, line item transfers. We have 2 this evening. The first is for planning and zoning, for other professional services for $8,000, and the decrease of this $8,000 will come from salaries full-time. Do we have a motion to approve?
Can I ask so moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, which months are there for the consulting services?
This is to carry it beyond what we did the initial transfer for,
yeah,
so this
but-
would go till the end of November.
Okay.
Somebody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. And the next transfer is police request, longevity 312289, and they will come out of overtime for 312289. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Number 8 is the finance director's report. Sue?
Good evening, everybody. The results presented in front of you were for the first quarter of fiscal year '23, so for the 3 months ending September 30th. You'll find total revenues for $607,000 for the month of September, with tax revenues being slightly more than half of that, and the remainder including $136,000 for grants. $134,000 of that was the Town Road 8 grant, and $2,000 for the elderly exemption grant. As budgeted, those were received. And then the remaining is $85,000 for town services revenues. The current tax levy is 56.1% compared to 55.6% in the prior year. The $85,000 of town service revenues include $38,000 for the boat moorings, $27,000 for building fees, and contracted police services of $9,000. Town clerk revenues were collected for $55,000 for September, but they were not deposited until October, so they're not reflected in the September results. They will be included in the October results. In addition, there was $44,000 of other revenues, $29,000 of that being investment income, and $12,000 being a distribution from the Waseam Trust. Expenses for the month of September were $4 million. 2.7 of that was for the education expenditures. $520 is for salary. $350,000 was for fringe and related benefits. The remaining is $400,000. That's documented further in my report. The investment balances were $36.3 million at the end of September, and as I previously mentioned, the interest income was $29,000. That's an increase of $12,000 for the prior month of August. Year-to-date, the interest income is $54,000, and it has already surpassed the fiscal year 23 full budget amount of $40,000, and we're starting to see the benefit from the higher earnings rates. Contingency and fund balance are not changed from the prior month. Those schedules are attached to the report. The third and final payment for the ARPA funding of $1,255,000 was received at the beginning of October. So the total ARPA funds that were committed to the town of the $3.8 million have now been received. The town has expended a total of $414 of that monies that we received, which leaves $3.4 million remaining to be spent. And the detail of that is also further explained in the report. Projects in the finance department were still within the fiscal year 22 audit. All audit requests and questions to date have been answered both on our side and the Board of Ed side, so we're just waiting on them to continue their work. We're working on the fiscal year '24 budget sheets, so should be able to be distributed to the departments within the next couple of weeks. I've been working with Carl on transferring the police pension assets from to a different investment manager. That's been works in process, and that's hoped to be completed in the next couple of weeks as well. We're also working on the bonding for the fiscal year '23 in February. I know Carl's going to speak to that in his report as well. We're starting to have a preliminary meeting next week and starting to gather all the information that requires. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that the town has just received notice that we received the award from the GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for our fiscal year '21 financial statements. This is the 4th year the town has received that, and it's a highest form of recognition given to the government reporting, and it's really looked favorably upon ratings agencies and any investors interested in the town's financials. So it's quite a compliment to the town and all the people that worked hard to get that.
Congratulations to you.
Well, thank you, but it's also due to a lot of other people as well. So I want to publicly thank the Finance Department, the Board of Ed, Business Office, as well as the department managers and management, because it took everybody's work to get this done, so good job. So
Nice job.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
Job well done.
thank
Any
you, and that
questions?
concludes my report.
Oh, everybody good? Thank you. Item number 9 is the chairman's report, and I just wanted to let everybody know, so last night they had the Clinton Chamber of Commerce Awards that they held at the Clinton Country Club, so I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the winners of these awards from last night. Grove Gardens received the Ellen Kavanaugh Best Foot Forward Award. Stewart's Ace Hardware received the Community Champion Award. Adam Rizzo was named the Volunteer of the Year. Clinton Sports Shop, Sarah Hollinger received the Heritage Award, and Greylock Properties, Indian River Shops for the Economic Impact Award. So they were all at the event last night, so just wanted to publicly acknowledge and congratulate them on their wins. Item number 10 is the town manager's report.
So for the council's awareness, charter revision continues to barrel on. They're having a special meeting at the end of the month in order to review additional revisions to the charter based on the charge the council gave them, as well as feedback they got at the public hearing. They'll also be discussing a review that was done by the town attorney. The town attorney reviewed draft language for revision, as well as did just sort of a general once over the entire document, so I've got to go over that information with them. So they're still on track to be basically wrapped up with their study review work by the end of the calendar year, which meshes with the schedule you guys originally reviewed and approved when you set the wheels in motion for their work. Commerce, Leffingwell, potential historic district. The consultant has been engaged. We're having an individual come down from the State Historic Preservation Office to go over the ins and outs of what it means to have your property included in a National Register Historic District, so that they can answer any questions or concerns that may come from properties that could be included in that district. All of the properties received a letter from the Historic District Commission inviting them to this public presentation, which will take place November 9th at 6 p.m. If you remember, when the council gave approval to seek this grant, there was a strong council desire to make sure that there was outreach and public engagement, so that's why we're going through this process before the real study work gets done, where normally it's been kind of the reverse. You do a public session after the study's been completed. So we're trying to get the word out to explain what the nature of the program is to people while the work is still ongoing. As Sue noted, work is ongoing for bond preparation, so interest rates are going to be a little different. Refunding opportunities are likely not going to be present. We have bond anticipation notes that we've got to figure out what the best path forward is for the town, given the current environment, as well as what other authorized but unstarted projects we think are going to have cash flow needs in the near term. So that will be continued conversations that will take place between now rolling into January, when we're out in the marketplace, which has been the town's traditional pattern. And I'm trying to start a process with the department heads on performance measurement to be able to give you information and statistics on what's going on in the individual departments for what they're accomplishing and achieving. And then if you start looking at it on a multi-year basis, you can get a little bit more of a understanding from a data perspective of key metrics that drive what individual department businesses are and how well they're performing one way or the other to the environment that they're operating in. And that's it. As I informed you all earlier, we did have a press conference the other day. The Lieutenant Governor was in town regarding the steep grant that was provided to us for Police Department radio project. We are waiting for the grant agreement to come in. The state agency that's managing the grant and has been assigned those responsibilities, it tells me that their grant agreement document needs to include new language that the Attorney General wants to have added. So we're in a bit of a holding pattern waiting for that document to come in. When it comes in, I'll have a similar resolution like we had for the beach in front of the council to authorize signing those documents. This one, we're a little bit more concerned from a time sensitivity standpoint, since it's a high technology product that involves microchips and microprocessors, and getting supply chain issues resolved and getting our order in as quickly as possible needs to happen. And we can't make that happen until we have the grant agreement in place. So.
A question on the transit district with the equipment. Is there any progress with trying to consolidate the equipment with CT Transit? Was that part of the discussion, or are we still looking at separate equipment?
So CT Transit really hasn't done any of this work ever. So our transit district is leading the process, and DOT has been participating in it. So they're looking to see what's coming out of it, but whether there's going to be harmony between the two or what DOT is going to do with CT Transit, it's not clear where they're going to be, because they've never ever looked at this stuff before, which has been an eye-opening experience from my perspective, that the state's been running buses for an awfully long time and never bothered to look at any of this stuff, but whatever.
So you guys are engaging with them and trying to pull them along with the process?
They are involved in a process. They are at the table, so any conversations around a uniform fare structure to go anywhere in the state and the technology that supports that, DOT is at the table listening, giving the benefit of whatever input they want to give at that point in time. So they're hearing it as we're hearing it, and the hope is that they will engage and set some policy parameters, because no one else is doing this kind of work. Only our transit district's doing it.
Question, Carl, I didn't ask this the other night. How long, what's the timeline for issuing the RFP for the Pearson property? Does that take a couple months? Or
So I'm crafting it now. So there's some site-specific detail that needs to be put into it. I've done this kind of work before, so I have a little bit of a template that I'm using, that I've used before, but I need to tailor it to be more specific to the site restrictions, sort of the environment that it's going to be in, as well as some of the uniquenesses that the council wanted to pursue in terms of how the deal could be structured. So there's a little bit more work on my end that needs to be done to put together the RFP before it's ready to go and hit the street. I would, just based on experience, you probably should have your public hearing to get public comment before it hits the street. Just, try to line up the horses, that's all. So I can do my work, you guys schedule your public hearing, and we run in parallel tracks, but you really should have the public hearing before the document's out on the street. We're soliciting developers for input.
Okay, so you're gonna do that, Chris? We're gonna
Do that tonight.
Yeah, okay. And the second question I had, I'm sure you've answered this before, but I don't remember the answer. With the ARPA funds, it seems to me that there hasn't been a lot of it spent. Is there a reason for that, or is it just
Well, 1.9 has just come in, and you have to go through a process to appropriate that. So that has to go forward. So that kind of skews the number based on only half of it's actually been authorized to be spent.
Yeah.
So of that half, the monies have gone out that supported the arts groups, that supported the nonprofits. The nonprofit actually is somewhat oversubscribed. The small business program is starting to get some legs underneath that, where there's more people interested in receiving funds on that end. Human Services has been spending their money to support folks in need of utility assistance, rental assistance, mortgage assistance, and the rest to keep their homes and keep their bills paid and current in response. So those things are moving forward. The other things are really town-initiated projects, which are, extending Wi-Fi down at the beach, and that takes a little bit more time to iron out. So those projects will move forward. It's just standing up the outward-facing programs was the highest priority to get that up, running, and push those dollars out before dealing with internal programs, which we have a little bit more say and control over.
Okay. And what are we going, with the new money that came in, are we gonna have another hearing on that, or what, how does that look?
So that follows the same process, and as I pointed out previously, I assumed you would have some sort of workshop discussion to go through how those dollars could be spent, and then use that as the template for what becomes motions that would ultimately go to a town meeting, and then the town meeting would appropriate the dollars, and then you'd go from there. That's what I think.
For all of that first tranche, you've had all the applications you expected, and the rest of the money is slated for town projects? Because it's like 400-something thousand given out, and there's still 1.5 million. That's on track?
The nonprofit piece has been fully expended, and there's still demands that are backing up, so that requires a little bit more discussion when we talk about the second tranche. The small business support has been a little slow in getting off the ground, but that's starting to move.
But you have applications?
We've pushed out three or four at this point, and it's my understanding there's probably a couple more in pipeline that will be coming out. So that will start to see more money flowing out of it. So those were the externally facing programs, and that was a little bit more legwork to get that standing up and running with an application program, a grant agreement, and then pushing those dollars through finance and getting people to sign and do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So that seemed to be more the priority of getting the outward-facing money going first. So I prioritized getting that done first.
Anybody else?
I have a question, since Sue is still here, and since we're talking about taxes, and that I see the unassigned fund balance is expected to be adjusted after the audit, and I'm wondering if you have any idea how so. Adjusted up, adjusted down?
No.
Do you have any idea?
At this point, I'm not, we really do need to wait for the audit to finish.
Okay,
I do think,
okay,
I
okay.
do think it will be an
Yeah.
increase to fund that.
Okay.
I think we will.
Let's not answer that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry,
Anybody else?
since we're on taxes.
No? Okay, we're all good. We'll move on to council discussions. Okay, so the first thing we can do then is schedule the public hearing for Pearson School. We can set it for the November 17th at 6 PM.
November 16th,
17?
17,
Yeah.
6 PM.
Thursday. At 6 p.m.
And then Mary will send out an email next week, and we can schedule the workshop for the ARPA funding.
You said 6 PM, didn't you?
Yep.
And this is a workshop? I apologize. I
Public hearing for Pearson School on the 17th at 6 PM, and then we'll send an email out to schedule the workshop for ARPA funding.
Workshop.
We'll do it in November, some date in November. You've got to clarify some stuff.
And remind me, the public hearing, will Carl do a presentation?
For Pearson?
Yes, for the public hearing. How does that work?
If you want one, I can do one.
No, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
because the public's coming, and they're going to be informed of what the plans are, I take it.
If you want one, I'll do one.
I'm
Normally it's
just asking how it's gonna
Normally,
work,
it's just you open it up and people just, they comment about what
what they
basically
want.
would like
It's
to
their
see.
chance to talk.
Okay.
Giving information, because we don't really want to direct kind of what.
Okay, I was just wondering
Yeah.
what happened,
Yep.
okay. So they come and they talk.
Yep. All right. Anybody else on council discussions? Good.
Sorry, Carl, I didn't mean to laugh, it was the look.
Do whatever you want me to do. Item number 12, Town Council Committee Liaison Reports. Anybody have anything to report tonight?
P and Z,
Yep.
they had an aquifer protection, I guess a meeting before the actual, and Kathy King let me know later what was going on. They're working very well with the Indian River group and the outlet mall. And I guess those are their greatest concerns. And they're having to set a precedent, it seems, because of a development on Waterside in which one piece of property is divided into two, and there's no ability to give open space, and there has to be a, in lieu of determination, and it was an interesting conversation. It went on for a while. A percentage has to be determined.
Okay. Thank you.
Was that the free split, with a free split? Property with a free split?
Did you say 3 split?
Free split, F-R-E-E split?
I just know that he is dividing the property in half and an equal proportion, and they're building on the back, bordering with Osprey Commons, if that helps.
But it was reaffirmed in the free split that there had to be the ability, I didn't think the free split was allowed unless there was the ability to follow all the regulations, but. Okay,
Just
interesting,
new to me,
thank you.
too. All new.
Dennis, do you have anything?
Yeah, police department, they met a couple of nights ago, Monday. Budget-wise, everything's going on with Hoyle. Captain Jacober is really making a real Herculean effort to get the department into that,
Kalia?
what do you call it, certification, that CALIA certification. And quite frankly, they're doing one heck of a job, and they took on the task of doing the harder of the 2 tiers, which means they'll have to write more policies pertaining to almost every possible thing that could come up. So it's quite a job, and they're doing quite good work on it. Unfortunately, we have an officer that is going to resign on November 1st. He's headed for a job with the federal government. So the police force will be down 1 until they can go out and see if they can get some type of transfer type, lateral officer in there as quickly as possible.
Keep losing
And
them.
finally,
We keep losing them to them.
yeah.
And this isn't a retirement to a federal job? No, this is...
No, he's a young officer that wasn't here too long and got a
Okay.
better job, I guess, with the feds. Now, don't hold the messenger and shoot him, but just so the public understands that
Is the word
this
dog?
is the word that the traffic authority has gotten from the state of Connecticut, who has been working with the Indian River Landing people, that they will have the lights in that road and all that stuff hopefully done by February. To do this, they're going to have night work up there on Route 81, so people should know that, particularly people that live in that area, that there's gonna be some noise and whatever, but they're gonna make every effort they can to get the road cut, to make the, I guess it has to be 3 lanes on a certain direction northbound, and to get the lights and all. So that's,
Good.
again, that's what we've heard. If it doesn't come true, don't come down here and...
Listen, I'm telling you.
Fortunately, nobody lives there.
I think
Dennis
that-
told us that.
Dennis told us, right?
By February, that was
This
gonna
is
be
just
done.
what the traffic authority has
What-
been passed on to from the state, so
They
What number should
hopefully
we use
all
for you?
will work.
What number should we use for you?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Let
Dennis.
me see, I'll look at my book, what your number is.
Anybody else?
Well, EDC met, and I talked to Carl about this earlier. They're interested in creating a new mission statement. Let's go ahead, and then present it to the town council.
Okay, so we'll be waiting for that.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Anybody else? All right, hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you all.
How do you oppose that? What do you want?